Millionaire's life-changed dinner. Unexpectedly encounters ex-wife 7 months pregnant and thriving. Jack sat at the elegant restaurant, his colleagues around him laughing and toasting another successful quarter. The clinking of glasses felt so far away, a mere hum in the whirlwind of his thoughts. He was the quintessential self-made millionaire at 38, an empire crafted from the grit of a working-class upbringing. Yet, as he raised his glass, a pang of nostalgia shot through him. He thought of family dinners in a cramped apartment, and the sacrifices made along the way. Each step towards financial gain had pulled him further from Emily, the woman he once cherished most. Their dreams had unraveled like a fraying thread, caught in the relentless pursuit of success. "Here's to us!" shouted one of his colleagues, and Jack's heart sank deeper. He was toasting to profits and partnerships, while the ghost of his failing marriage hovered in the corner of his mind. Suddenly, a familiar voice sliced through the restaurant's vibrant atmosphere. He turned, heart racing, to see Emily standing at the entrance. She looked radiant, her figure beautifully curvy, a clear sign of the pregnancy that had crept into his thoughts. Time stood still. The laughter dimmed, the voices faded. The bustling restaurant morphed into a daunting silence. It took every ounce of courage to push past the tables, his feet anchoring to the ground as he approached her. Her eyes widened with surprise and something that felt like regret. They exchanged awkward pleasantries, voices low, like they were trapped in a bubble far removed from the glamorous life Jack had built. "You look good, Jack," Emily said, a cautious smile on her face. "You too," he murmured, fighting the wave of emotions crashing over him. Talking to her felt like treading water, too many unspoken words swirling around them. As they settled into a corner booth, the conversation shifted. Emily shared her work as a community organizer, helping families in need find resources. Jack swallowed hard, the irony stinging. She thrived while he buried himself under a mountain of wealth, prioritizing balance sheets over the love that once colored their world. They navigated the turbulent waters of shared memories, unearthing buried frustrations. "You know, I sacrificed so much, Jack." Emily's voice trembled slightly, and Jack felt the weight of her words settle in the pit of his stomach. "I put my dreams on hold while you chased money." He wanted to defend himself, yet couldn't ignore the truth hanging heavily between them. Their desperate pursuit of success had taken them in starkly different directions. Just as vulnerability began to soften the sharp edges of their conversation, Emily dropped a bombshell. "Jack, I need to tell you something." Her voice caught. "This baby, it might not be yours." The silence that followed was deafening. Jack's heart raced as the world around him shrank into a pinprick of focus. The gravity of her admission hit him hard, twisting like a knife in his gut. Could she truly mean what he thought? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Jack processed the emotional turmoil, he stood at a crossroads. Would he cling to his life of luxury, prioritizing wealth over love? Or would he seek to reconnect with Emily and confront his choices? The air thickened with uncertainty, his heart torn between a lavish lifestyle and the pain of lost opportunities. What would he choose? In that moment he realized the essence of true success was not in riches, but in love, family, and forgiveness. Just as he felt the urge to reach out to her, the weight of the future loomed large, leaving a gnawing tension in the air. What path would Jack ultimately take? Jack's mind raced as he grappled with Emily's revelation. Her words replayed in his head like an ominous wind, chilling him to the core. "This baby, it might not be yours." The weight of that possibility felt like a boulder crashing down on his chest. He wanted to scream, to demand clarity, but the questions rattled inside him like loose change. Emily, his voice was barely audible, the name just a whisper, but it pulled their conversation back to the surface. "What do you mean?" Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, a spark of vulnerability that made Jack's heart ache. "I don't want to get into details right now. It's complicated," she stammered, as if words were a delicate glass, risking shattering under pressure. The range of emotions coursing between them was palpable: pain, confusion, love and regret intermingled and wrapped around them like fog. Jack leaned closer, the erratic rhythm of his heartbeat echoing in his ears. But I have a right to know. If there is even a chance, yes, a chance. But it hurts, Jack. I didn't plan this. I didn't plan on being here, she interrupted, her face strained as if she were grappling with invisible chains. And I certainly didn't plan on this baby being a source of doubt and pain between us. A silence settled, thick and heavy, swallowing the laughter and clinking of glasses that surrounded them. Jack's gaze fell to Emily's barely protruding belly. In that moment it felt like the world had shrunken down to just the two of them. Their lives intertwined yet so distinctly fractured. Should he hold on or let go? I've seen how you live, Jack. You've built a life that doesn't include me, she continued, her voice quivering yet steadfast. You've crafted an entire world with other priorities, other people. I don't want to be another asset on your balance sheet. Her words stung. He felt them deep, like an arrow aimed straight at his heart. How had it come to this? He had chased after wealth, convinced it would fill an empty space inside him. But now he realized that emptiness had only widowed his ability to connect. Jack's eyes searched hers, seeking clarity, a connection that had long been lost. What do we do now? He finally asked, a plea dripping from the question as the last remnants of his bravado crumbled before she could respond. A waiter approached their table, a stark reminder of the opulent world Jack inhabited, a world he was beginning to question. Sugar packets? The waiter placed them down, unaware of the emotional turmoil brewing just inches away. I can't pretend that everything is fine, Jack. Emily's voice, laced with sorrow, held a firmness that encased their fragile moment. You need to decide what is truly important to you. Who are you doing this for? Jack swallowed hard. The answer echoed in the hollows of his mind, the memories of laughter shared, dreams woven, and a love that, despite the distance, never fully dissolved. But what if he had missed his chance? What if she was ready to move on with someone else? He took a deep breath, feeling the tension invade the space between them again. Emily, if we have a chance to make this work, if there is any part of you that still wants to, I'm here. I want to figure this out. Together. Tears brimmed in Emily's eyes, her expression a mix of hope and fear. Jack, she began softly, but before she could continue, her phone buzzed. Caught off guard, she fished it from her purse, her eyes darting across the screen. Her expression shifted, anxiety flared and darkened her features. I have to take this. As she stood and moved away, a thick sense of foreboding gripped Jack. Each step she took solidified the chasm building between them, a rift formed by time, choices, and painful truths. The lingering taste of unresolved connection hung in the air like a bitter aftertaste. What was meant to be a chance encounter sparked a flame of unresolved feelings, but would they be able to nurture it back into life, or was this truly the end? As Jack sat alone amidst the noise of the restaurant, he realized the future hung delicately at the precipice of their conversation. How much longer could he wait for answers before everything slipped through his fingers? Jack stared at the empty seat where Emily had just been, feeling a strange mix of longing and dread. Around him the restaurant buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the clink of glassware. Yet, in his world, silence reigned. The air hung heavy with unsaid words and unresolved emotions. He couldn't help but wonder who was on the other end of Emily's call, what shadow had slipped between them, and at what cost. He tried to focus on the menu, pressing his fingers against its smooth surface. The vibrant dishes that should have excited him felt dull and lifeless. Everything in his life seemed painted in shades of gray since Emily had dropped that bombshell. As the minutes ticked by, he fought the urge to get up and find her, to bridge the growing chasm that felt more like an abyss. Finally, she returned, her face a mixture of irritation and distress. Sorry, that was unexpected, she said, sinking back into her chair. Her eyes were darting, and Jack could see that whatever she had heard weighed heavily on her mind. Can we finish what we were talking about? Jack took a breath, feeling part of him wished to retreat but another part ready to dive deeper. Emily, if this baby might not be mine, where does that leave us? What do you want? The boldness of his words surprised even him, but he needed answers. He was tired of tiptoeing around the truth. Her gaze fell to the table. I don't know, I just keep thinking about the life I envisioned. I thought we could work things out. But now? Jack prompted, his heart racing. This doesn't have to be the end unless you want it to be. Can't we talk about this, really talk? He reached across the table, wanting to wrap his fingers around hers, to offer a semblance of comfort. Emily looked up, her eyes glistening again. Jack, it's complicated. I have to consider what's best for this baby and for both of us. I don't want to drag you into something that could hurt even more. What about us? He pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. You said you still had feelings for me. That's not something you can just throw away. I want to be part of this, whatever this is. The weight of his confession hung in the air like a dark cloud. He meant every word. Yet he felt a twinge of fear at what those words might actually invite. He had spent years building walls, yet now he was ready to tear them down. Emily's expression softened, but doubt remained. I wish things were different, but I can't ignore my past. I have to consider your past? Or our past? Jack interrupted, his voice a low growl now. This is the present, Emily. We're here right now. I can't change what happened, but we can figure this out together. Her eyes flickered with a mix of hope and confusion. She glanced around the restaurant, seeming to search for something, maybe clarity, maybe courage. Jack held his breath, praying she would find it within. I want to believe that, she finally said, her words trembling. But how can we trust each other again? How can I trust myself? Just then, Emily's phone buzzed again, cutting through the tension like a knife. Sighing heavily, she looked at the screen and then at Jack, frustration etched on her features. I can't keep doing this. If I ignore this call, it could cost me. Jack leaned back, feeling a sharp pain in his chest. What's so urgent that it can't wait? He didn't want to sound accusatory, but dread was creeping in. It's about my job and a project I need to oversee. The anxiety in her voice twisted like a knife in his gut. Was this another way of pushing him away? The unaddressed confusion swirled between them like a tempest, raging with unanswered questions. Go, he finally said, letting disappointment seep in. If it's that important, we can talk later. Emily hesitated, as if she wanted to cling to the moment, to fight against the current pulling them apart. But with a grim nod, she picked up her phone and left once more, leaving Jack alone in the fading light of the restaurant. The tension slipped back into the air, thick and suffocating as he watched her walk away. Jack realized he wasn't sure if she was walking back into her life or pulling further away from his. He could feel the stakes rising, everything spinning out of his grasp. Maybe they were too far gone, or maybe this was the moment that could change everything. He couldn't shake the feeling that an unseen force was gathering, shaping their paths in ways neither of them could fully understand. As the night deepened, Jack made a decision. Whatever it took, he would pursue the truth, even if it meant confronting his own demons. But when she returned, would there be more answers or only more questions? As the door swung shut behind Emily, Jack's heart sunk. The warmth of their moment had evaporated, replaced by the cold isolation of his thoughts. He felt suspended in time, surrounded by laughter and lively voices, yet utterly disconnected from it all. Glancing down at the untouched plate in front of him, he pushed his fork through the food, as if searching for an answer buried in the parsley garnish. The waitress returned, her smile dimming when she noticed his half-finished meal. Everything okay, sir? She asked, concern lurking behind her cheerful tone. Just a bit distracted, he replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. It felt like life was carrying on without him, and he was stuck at a single moment, one that was heavy with fear and uncertainty. As he sat there, he replayed Emily's words in his mind. The doubts, the hopes, the fragile glimmers of what could be. The way she looked at him might have been filled with longing, but a veil of confusion hung between them. He couldn't bear to think of her running away from their connection, but how could he urge her to stay when her heart was clearly a battlefield? After a few minutes that felt like an eternity, he pulled out his phone. Should he text her? Call her? His fingers hovered over the screen, the tension in his chest building with every heartbeat. Ultimately, he laid the phone back down, deciding to give her space. The urgency in her call was clear and had to be addressed. Her career was just as important as their relationship, maybe even more so at the moment. He admired her ambition, the way she had fought against the odds since they were young, even when those odds meant leaving him behind. He suddenly became aware of a couple seated nearby, engaged in an animated discussion. They stole glances his way, oblivious to the storm brewing in his heart. Their laughter peeled through him, and Jack felt a flash of envy. They didn't know the weight of uncertainty he carried, But then again, who did? His thoughts shifted to the baby. Could it be his? What would he do if Emily decided it wasn't he? Or worse yet, what if she chose to keep the child and move on without him? Each scenario created a fresh wave of anxiety that threatened to consume him. There was a life at stake, innocent and untouched by their complicated past, but what did he want for that life? Just when he was about to drown himself in regret, her familiar silhouette appeared in the doorway. Jack's breath caught. Emily stood still for a moment, surveying the restaurant before her eyes fell on him. Something shifted in the air as she approached, the weight of unspoken words growing in intensity. "Hey," Emily said softly, taking her seat with palpable hesitation. "I'm sorry about before, work just spiraled out of control." Jack nodded, not trusting himself to speak. He needed her to know that their connection wasn't lost in the chaos of jobs and calls. He could feel her fear mirroring his own. A fragile spider web stretched between them, delicate yet strong. "I did some thinking," she continued, her hands intertwined as if seeking strength. "About us, about everything. I still care. I don't know what that looks like moving forward or if I am ready for that yet. But I don't want to lose you either." The sincerity in her voice melted some of the ice that had built between them. Jack leaned in, desperate to hold on to this moment. "Then let us take it one step at a time. No more secrets, no more running. We owe it to ourselves to try whatever this is, wherever it leads." As Emily met his gaze, sparkles of hope danced in her eyes. Yet, before either could truly breathe, her phone rang again, cutting through the renewed energy that sparked between them like a jolt of cold water. Their hopeful moment threatened to wither under the weight of her responsibilities. She sighed, annoyance creeping back into her features. "I need to take this," she said reluctantly. Glancing at his face for permission, Jack nodded slowly, feeling the familiar chasm crack open again. He wanted to shout out, to plead for her to stay, but instead, he settled back, resignation creeping in. As she walked away, Jack wrestled with emotions tangled in a web of uncertainty once more. What did it mean that she cared yet felt so pulled away? Was he just waiting for her to choose a path that might not lead back to him? In the silence that followed, the real question tugged at his heart. Could they bridge the gap of their past long enough to build a future? Jack's mind raced, and for the first time that evening, he wondered if true healing could defy the shadows lurking around them. But as Emily stepped outside to answer her call, he felt the echo of her absence gnawing at him again. What if this was their last chance, and he didn't know how to seize it? Jack stared at the empty chair across from him, each second stretching into eternity. The laughter around him continued, a bittersweet reminder of normalcy he felt completely detached from. Time ticked on, yet he remained frozen in this moment. Battling the worry gnawing at his gut, he began to doodle on his napkin, drawing random shapes that morphed into waves, crashing against the shore of his thoughts. Waves of worry, waves of longing. Would she come back with answers? Or would he be left here alone again, grappling with questions that felt too big for him to handle? The waitress approached, setting a fresh glass of water in front of him. "You okay, sir?" she asked, her voice gentle, tinted with concern. "Yeah, just waiting on a friend," he said, but the truth felt like a lie. He wasn't just waiting, he was yearning. As he absently stirred the water with his straw, he caught sight of Emily through the restaurant's large windows. She stood with her back to him, her phone pressed to her ear, all the energy radiating from her body, a stark contrast to his current state. The ease with which she navigated her world felt alien to Jack. A part of him wanted to rush to her, to wrap his arms around her and shield her from everything that weighed her down. Then she turned slightly, catching his reflection in the glass. Jack's heart raced. Was there relief in her expression, or just resignation? Could she sense the turmoil within him, the storm brewing beneath the surface? He wanted to believe in a lightness returning to their dynamics, yet despair flickered like candlelight, dimming the glow of hope. Emily walked back to their table, her eyes clouded with whatever conversation had just unfolded outside. She took her seat, setting down her phone. "Sorry about that," she said, almost at a whisper. "It was my boss. Things are messy right now." Jack nodded, the heaviness of 1,000 questions still hovering, unspoken. "I get it," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Yet everything in him ached to know what lay beneath her surface. "I honestly, Jack," she said, smoothing her hands over the table, "I'm just so confused. About us, about the baby, it's a lot." I know, he said, his voice thick with emotion. But we can figure it out together. Whatever happens, you're not alone in this. Tears brimmed in her eyes. What if it's not enough? She whispered, voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. She leaned back as if trying to distance herself from the very prospect of what they might be facing. Jack reached for her hand, heart pounding. I can't promise it'll be easy. But I promise I won't let you walk this alone. Sharing a moment, Emily looked into his eyes, searching for something, trust, perhaps. Her hand hesitated before softly squeezing his. But just as they leaned into the growing connection, her phone buzzed again, breaking their fragile ambience once more. A wave of frustration rushed through him, but he masked it with a deep breath. Take it, he urged, trying to remain calm, even as his insides twisted. She answered with a quick nod, swiping the screen. I can't believe this is happening now, she muttered, her face darkening even further as she listened. Jack felt the wall build up again with each passing moment of her distraction. Jack, I need to go, she said abruptly, her face pale as she glanced towards the door. He recoiled slightly, hurt flickering across his chest. Go? Just like that? We were just, I know, but this is important. I'll call you later, she replied, standing up quickly, that familiar blend of urgency and regret etched in her expression as she walked away. A familiar ache washed over him. He felt like he was replaying the same scene, where they seemed so close yet forever slipping away. With Emily caught up in her responsibilities, could he hold on for long enough to break through the walls she had always built around her heart? His heart clenched as he scanned the room filled with laughter once more. The world moving on while he stood still. What if she didn't come back this time? What if he lost her forever again? He took a deep breath, refusing to let despair win. There had to be a way. Suddenly, a thought pierced his mind with unwelcome clarity. Was it time for him to take the leap? The leap that felt scarier than anything he'd ever faced. He knew only one thing. He had to find a way to reach her, to show her the future he still believed was possible. But the burning question lingered in his mind: how could he convince her to embrace the chance without pushing her away? As he watched the door swing shut behind her once more, uncertainty gripped him tightly. Would his willingness to fight for her even matter if she was determined to walk away? Jack sat in the restaurant, feeling the weight of her absence press against his chest. The laughter and chatter of other diners felt like a cruel reminder of the normalcy he craved, but couldn't grasp. He wanted to scream, to shout that he was here waiting, and that his heart was breaking with the uncertainty. After what felt like ages, he summoned the courage to pull out his phone. It felt ridiculous, almost desperate, but he had to reach out. He hesitated, his fingers hovering over the screen. Could he really let her know how helpless he felt? Or would spilling his heart only push her further away? As he typed out a message, the words poured forth without thought. Emily, I'm scared. Please come back. We can face this together. He hit send and watched the screen as if it could bridge the gap that had suddenly widened between them. A minute passed. 2. Then a notification blinked, pulling him from his spiraling thoughts. Emily's typing. Hope surged briefly before the dots vanished. What was she thinking? Was she too busy? Did she even want to talk? The room swayed in and out of focus, and he pushed back the urge to chase after her. His phone buzzed again. Jack, I need time to think. I can't promise anything right now. Each word cut deeper than the last. With every beat of his racing heart, he could feel walls crumbling around him. Time. It was exactly what he feared. Time could mean distance. Time could mean loss. He exhaled, chin resting on his fist, trying to comprehend the flood of emotions. Was he being selfish? What if time could help her? What if it gave her the clarity she needed? But the thought of her alone, battling her fears and desires, twisted his heart. He envisioned her wandering in confusion, and the image was unbearable. With a newfound sense of determination, he decided what he would do. He would take that leap he had thought about. He would show Emily somehow that he wasn't going anywhere. He would fight for her with everything he had. Suddenly, the door opened, and the familiar jingle of the bell made his heart skip a beat. Jack turned hopefully, but it was just another couple laughing and taking their seats. They glanced at him, noticing the tension in his shoulders, but their joy only reminded him of the void left by Emily. He took another breath, steadying himself. What would I say? He muttered to no one, envisioning the potential conversations. Would he confess his fears? His devotion? Or perhaps he should just offer her a sense of stability, a promise that they could get through anything if they worked as a team? He stood up abruptly, determination igniting within him. It was now or never. As he pushed through the door, the cool air hit him, revitalizing his spirit. The sidewalks buzzed with life, but he felt like he was in a bubble, moving through an uncertain world where nothing mattered but finding Emily. With every step he repeated a mantra in his mind. You can do this. He felt his phone vibrate in his pocket. It was a message from her. Jack, I'm sorry. I need space. The word stung more than he could have anticipated, but he couldn't let it stop him. If she needed space, he could respect that. But he wouldn't back down. He would be there when she was ready. As he reached for the door of her apartment building, anticipation and fear battled inside him. Would she be open to talking? Would she let him in? His hand hesitated on the doorknob. Oh, the weight of possibility. If only he could believe that tomorrow might bring clarity instead of uncertainty. But maybe, just maybe, he had to trust in the fight, in the love that had always been there. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open, stepping into the unknown. What would he find on the other side? The hallway was dimly lit, the air thick with anticipation as Jack stepped inside. The scent of her familiar lavender perfume still lingered, wrapping around him like a soft blanket of memories he didn't know whether to cherish or mourn. He could hear the soft hum of the refrigerator and the faint sound of traffic from street below, an ordinary backdrop to the emotional storm brewing inside him. He walked toward her door, heart pounding loudly in his ears. What if she wasn't ready? What if his presence only reminded her of the weight of their unresolved issues? He pressed his palm against the cool wood, taking a moment to breathe and steady himself. Emily, he whispered, half hoping she could hear him. No answer came, just silence. He knocked softly, trembling at the thought of what lay beyond. The seconds stretched into an eternity as he waited. Each tick of the clock echoed in his chest, and he felt more vulnerable than ever. Finally, the door cracked open. Emily stood before him, her hair cascading over her shoulders, eyes wide and misty. She looked both beautiful and broken. Jack? She managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Can I come in? He didn't want to crowd her, but the words slipped out before he could filter them. He wanted to dive in, to pull apart the layers between them and rebuild something stronger. Yeah, okay. She hesitated but opened the door wider, letting him step inside. The apartment was as he remembered, only now it felt different. Shadows loomed in corners where warmth once lived. They both stood silently for a few moments, the weight of all that had happened hanging heavily between them. Jack desperately wanted to break that silence, to fill the space with words that meant something, but everything felt so fragile. Emily, he began, but she held up a hand, shutting him down gently. Jack, I really need to talk, she said, her voice laced with urgency. There are things we've both ignored. I've ignored. His heart raced. This was it. Right now they had a chance to cut through the fog of misunderstandings, to unearth the truth that lay buried beneath uncertainty. I know. I feel it too, he replied, his tone earnest as he stepped closer, trying to close the distance that felt like miles. She met his gaze, searching for unspoken hopes. I've been lost, Jack. I don't know how to find my way back. His chest tightened. There was vulnerability in her eyes, a flicker of the connection they once shared. Maybe we can find it together, he suggested softly, wishing to soothe her turmoil. No, she shook her head, a mix of defiance and sadness. It's not that simple. There are things I need to figure out on my own first. The rejection was a bitter pill to swallow, but he understood. Sometimes space was necessary. Yet something deep within him compelled him to fight for her, to remind her of the parts of herself she seemed to have lost. What if it's too late? He asked, the fear creeping into his voice. What if I'm not enough? She stepped back, tears pooling in her eyes. It's not about you. It's me. I feel like I'm on the edge. The tension in the room thickened. Jack struggled to find words that could bridge the distance, sweeping away the doubt gnawing at his insides. Would she let him in? Would she confide in him? Then, as if the universe was leaning in to listen, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, a stack of plates tumbling to the floor. They both jumped, startled out of their moment. Are you okay? Jack called out, instinctively rushing toward the sound. Yeah, it's fine, Emily answered, still trying to regain composure. But he could feel it, the whirlwind inside her was intensifying, and he couldn't let it go unanswered. He turned back to her, determination flooding his veins. Emily, please. Let me help. Let me be there for you. She bit her lip, staring at him like she was weighing something monumental. And in that charged moment, as emotions roiled like a storm, he realized this wasn't just about them anymore. It was about healing, honesty, vulnerability, all the things they had both been too scared to admit. Just tell me, Emily. What do you need? Another beat of silence hung between them, brimming with both hope and fear. And Jack could only wonder what revelations would come forth, shaking the very foundation of what they had known before. What do you really want? She finally asked, and he could see the truth reflecting in her eyes. It was a question that would echo through the silence of their past and steer them toward an uncertain future. What would he say? What kind of answer could possibly unlock the door to their next chapter? Jack opened his mouth, a myriad of thoughts swirling in his head. He could say he wanted her back, to stitch together the frayed edges of their love. He could say he simply wanted her to be happy. But in that moment, everything felt too heavy, too real. He swallowed hard and steadied himself. I want you to be okay, he finally replied, his voice barely above a whisper. I want you to feel whole again. Tears glistened in Emily's eyes, and Jack swore he could see the walls she had built around herself start to tremble. It was a raw and tender moment, exposing vulnerability like bare skin to the elements. But I need you to want that for yourself too, he added, searching her gaze for anything that mirrored his own yearning. Emily's breath hitched, and for a moment, she looked like a deer caught in headlights. I've made so many mistakes, she said, the weight of frustration evident in her voice. I don't even know how to forgive myself. Then let us figure it out together, he urged gently. No more hiding. Just honesty. The words hung between them, fragile yet electric. Jack saw her willing to inch forward, her defenses softening, but a flicker of doubt crossed her face. What if the truth hurts too much? Truth can be hard, yes. But it's also freeing. It's how we start to heal, he replied, mustering all the hope in his heart. I believe we're stronger than the pain. There's still something beautiful in us waiting to be found. A wistful smile broke through Emily's tears, and he felt a small surge of relief. Maybe they could navigate this storm together, one step at a time. Heart pounding, Jack took another step closer, his hand reaching out instinctively. Before he could touch her, her phone buzzed loudly against the table, shattering the tension in the air. Emily glanced at it, the color draining from her face. She picked it up, quickly scanning the screen and muttering something under her breath. Anguish washed over her features. What is it? Jack hesitated, curiosity and concern battling within him. It's my sister, Emily stammered, her voice shaky as she stared at the phone, still not fully present with Jack. She needs me. There's an emergency. An emergency? Panic sliced through him. What happened? Can I help? No, she exclaimed, her eyes wide with alarm as she took a step back. Separation creeping back into their moment. Something I have to do alone. I can't explain right now. Questions flooded Jack's mind, but he held them back, understanding the truth enough to sense this was a moment Emily needed for herself. Okay, he said quietly, fighting the urge to press for more. Just know I'm here for you. Always. Her expression softened, the barrier between them wavering. I need to think. He nodded, feeling the quiet desperation seep back into the room. The distance that had segmented them felt insurmountable once more. And yet, beneath it all there was a flicker of hope. When you're ready, Jack said, attempting to anchor the moment, I'll be waiting just like always. Emily stepped carefully past him toward the door, collecting the scattered threads of their conversation as she did. She paused before leaving, her gaze lingering on him, caught between worlds. I'll call you. With that, the door clicked shut, and silence enveloped him once more. Jack let his breath out slowly, feeling every ounce of tension cling to his limbs. A new heaviness settled in, an unshakable sense of worry mixed with lingering hope. He wanted to believe that this wasn't the end. But what if the call she made changed everything? As those thoughts circled, uneasiness settled like boulders on his heart, urging him to doubt his instincts. What if she never came back? Jack stood there in the silence, the echo of Emily's footsteps fading away. His heart raced, a storm of emotions swirling within him: fear, hope, and an aching helplessness. He thought of her sister, the urgency in Emily's voice, and he couldn't shake off the feeling that something deep was wrong. He glanced around the empty room, staring at the remnants of their conversation. The air felt thick, weighed down by unspoken words and unresolved tension. What if she was facing something beyond what she could handle? The thought gnawed at him, chipping away at the fragile hope that had sparked just moments before. Taking a deep breath, he sank down onto the couch. He needed to distract himself to keep his mind from spiraling. His fingers hovered over his phone, but he hesitated. It was too soon, too raw. He wasn't going to pressure her. Instead, he picked up the remote and started flipping through channels aimlessly. Nothing caught his eye. Just noise in the void that had settled in his heart. After a few minutes, the faint buzz of his phone broke the silence. He nearly dropped it in surprise, his heart racing at the thought it could be Emily. But it wasn't he. It was Noah, his best friend and roommate. "Hey man, you good?" The voice crackled through. Jack rubbed a hand over his face. "Not really, Noah. Emily just left and I don't know. I feel like I've lost her all over again." Noah was quiet for a moment, then sighed. "You opened up to her, didn't you? That's a big step, Jack." "Yeah, I thought we were making progress. But now I just feel this weight. I don't know what's happening in her life, and it scares me. You need to give her space. Her sister's emergency might not even be about your relationship," Noah said gently. "Sometimes people just need to handle things on their own." As much as Jack wanted to agree, the uncertainty gnawed at him. But what if she needs me? What if this is about more than just her sister? Then be there for her when she's ready. Just don't lose yourself in the panic. Jack nodded, even though Noah couldn't see it. "Thanks. I'll try to keep that in mind." They chatted for a bit longer, but Jack found his thoughts drifting back to Emily. He wondered if she was scared too, if she lay awake thinking about them just like he was. Eventually he hung up, the uncertainty still riding his chest like a weight. Hours passed, shadows creeping across the room as the sun set outside. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that he was waiting for a storm to break. And then his phone buzzed again. This time the familiar tone lifted his spirits, almost against his will. "Hey," he answered, adrenaline shooting through him. "Jack." It was Emily, her voice shaky and raw. The world around him faded as he focused on every word. I'm sorry for leaving so abruptly. I didn't know what to do." He felt a rush of relief mixed with confusion. "What happened? Is everything okay?" "No, I don't know. I need to tell you something important, but can we meet?" Panic threaded through his gut, twisting tightly. "Of course. Where? Can we meet at the park? The one we used to go to?" His heartbeat thundered in his chest. "Yeah, I'll be there." As he hung up, a wave of determination washed over him. Something was brewing beneath the surface, something that could alter everything between them. Jack needed to be ready for whatever it was. He grabbed his jacket and rushed out, every beat of his heart echoing the question looming in the back of his mind. What was she about to reveal? The night air cool against his skin, he hurried, heart and hope in sync. And somewhere deep down, he could sense that whatever it was could either bring them closer together or tear them apart for good. The park was a breath of fresh air, a canvas of memories painted in hues of sunset. Jack walked briskly, anxiety bubbling in his chest. The path felt familiar yet distant, like the love he had almost lost. This meeting could change everything. He spotted Emily sitting on a bench, silhouetted against the fading light. She looked pensive, shoulders pulled tight, a shadow of the vibrant woman he had seen just weeks before. Jack's heart raced. It was time to strip away pretense, to lay bare their truths. "Hey," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. She looked up, her expression a mirror of uncertainty. "Thanks for meeting me." "Yeah, I needed to talk," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. "About everything." "Me too," he said gently, taking a seat beside her. The distance between them felt both familiar and frightfully wide, both of them clinging to the edges of their comfort zones. Silence lingered, heavy with unspoken thoughts. Jack met her gaze, his heart pounding, waiting for the words that could bridge the chasm between their lives. "Emily, I know things have been complicated," he began, searching for the right words. But I want you to know I'm here no matter what. I'm ready to listen, really listen. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. That's the thing, Jack. I haven't been honest, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. All of this, the job, the baby, it's been overwhelming. I've realized how much I don't want to lose you again. His heart leapt at her words, hope igniting the darkness that had settled within him. You want I'm not going anywhere. But you need to tell me what you're feeling, what you want. I can't guess. I want to help. Taking a deep breath, Emily steadied herself, her strength bubbling to the surface. I didn't know how to ask for help. I thought I could do it all on my own. But the truth is, I'm scared, she admitted, letting the vulnerability pour out, raw and real. I'm scared of everything, of being a mother, of not being enough, of dragging you into my mess. No more running, Jack urged, reaching for her hand, willing her to connect. We're both messy in our own ways. But that's okay. I want to figure this out with you. Please. Tears escaped down her cheeks, each droplet a testament to the weight of uncertainty she carried alone. She squeezed his hand tightly, grounding them both. Jack, I might need time to sort through all this. The pregnancy, it's complicated, and it might not be yours. I can't pretend everything's fine. Jack's heart dropped. Emily, I don't care if it is or isn't mine. What matters is that you're here now, talking to me. I want to deal with whatever comes, we can face it together. A smile broke through her pain, tentative yet real. It was a small spark ignited in the chaos of their lives. Can we rebuild this? She asked, hope threading through her uncertainty. Can we start fresh despite everything? Absolutely, he affirmed, feeling the warmth of her trust seep into the cracks of his heart. I believe in us. We can work on this one step at a time. We don't have to figure everything out today. Just promise me we won't hide from each other anymore. Promise. A gentle breeze fluttered through the park, carrying with it a sense of renewal, an opportunity for rebirth. As their fingers entwined, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the park in twilight hues. Jack felt lighter, his chest unclenching, every heavy worry replaced with a renewed sense of possibility. They were both still standing at the crossroads, but now they weren't facing it alone. Emily looked at him, her expression shifting from uncertainty to determination. No more secrets, she declared, her voice resolute. No more secrets, he echoed, hope sparkling in his smile. This was just the beginning. As they sat together on that familiar bench, both slowly beginning to embrace the idea of forgiveness and healing, Jack realized they had already taken the most crucial step. The step toward each other. And with that step they could both set forth into a new dawn, hand in hand. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, you need to subscribe now to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button to feed the algorithm. Comment below your thoughts, feelings, or connections to the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.